Nothing like a little J-pop to wake you up at 4 o'clock in the morning. This is a song I wrote called Roller Coaster Life. Directly translated, it is roller coaster is life. Basically means that life is no different than a roller coaster. Called Roller Coaster Life. All right. Directly translated, it is. I appreciate you all being here today. We have got ourselves. Whoops, I got my voice coming through a couple of times. I think. There we go. That solved that problem. I appreciate you all being here today for the final game of the Gardindians Tigers series. Pretty interested to see who's going to win today. I know that Cleveland has the home field advantage, but anything could happen. We have seen that in both these series and some more series. The most disappointing series so far to me is the Dodgers-Reds series. That series really disappointed me. Big time. I wanted to see the Dodgers out and the Reds in. So I'm disappointed with that. Hey, Angel. Good to see you, man of culture. That's right. Let's see who wants it more. Let's see who wants it more. Is today going to be one of those days where it looks like both teams are just not there? Or one team is really, really hungry and wanting it? Or is it going to be one of those days where both teams are like, hey, this is my day? It'll be interesting to see. Need to make a couple of other adjustments on my screen here. Get this just where I want it. There we go. I think right about there is correct. I needed to get just a little bit more, but it's all good. But anyway, as I say every day, it's not the Stros, unfortunately, but it is the playoffs. Slade Giccioni is on the mound for the Guardians today. He's going to be facing Gleyber Torres to start it off. We're going to get jumped on in real quick. Yeah, Tyler, Dodgers won both their first 2 games, so they're already into the district series, or division series rather, the district series. Sounds more like a government tournament. First pitch to Torres coming in just a moment. They did say that the wind is not blowing as hard today in the park, despite it being a beautiful day. 75 degrees, sounds good. Good baseball weather. Second pitch, swing and a miss, so we have a 1-1 count. 1-1. You're welcome, Tyler. Yeah, there's only 3. Dodgers earned themselves a day off. A little outside, 2-1. Four-seam fastball, 95 miles an hour. Torres doesn't bite. I'm going to be doing this game and the next game coming up a little later, about 5 hours from now. 88 miles an hour on that outside edge. Nice cutter. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I sure hope so, Tyler. I hope it's really interesting today. Because I'm going to be doing both these first 2 games. Well, these 2 AL games. That's ball 3. We got a full count on the first batter. Slade. About to deliver the full count pitch. Fouled back. Another cutter. Just like the word go, Tyler. G-O. It's a French thing. It's a French thing. Very popular Cajun French use of the form. Here's the toss. That's hit hard on the left field, and line drive going to be caught. Stephen Kwan out in left field makes the play. A nice at-bat for Torres, pushing Slade to throw 7 pitches before lining out. Thanks, JD. Yes, please do like the live stream. It's early on. We only have about 10 people watching right now, but getting to more viewers is very important. Here comes the first pitch to Carpenter, Kerry Carpenter. 89 below the zone, ball 1. I think my coffee is ready. Oh, yeah, it is. It is full. That's 1 full cup of coffee. Here comes the next pitch. He lines that one foul. Opposite field down the third baseline. 1 ball, 1 strike to Carpenter with 1 out. Nobody on here in the top of the first. Carpenter calls timeout, steps out of the box for a moment. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's something I never even think about because I spent most of my life in Louisiana. So it's a common thing there. It's fouled off. Actually, I think a lot of people in Houston are very familiar with this word and this spelling, this pronunciation too. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes the next pitch. Swing and a miss on the slider, almost in the dirt. He's saying it's a foul ball, and the umpire agrees. Let's see if it's in the dirt here. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It hit the ground. 1-2. Here's a pitch. In the dirt again. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's a 2-2. Ooh, a little low and outside. Another full count. Full count pitch coming up. In the dirt, ball 4. So Kerry Carpenter gets the full count and then gets the walk. First 2 batters draw. First 2 batters draw 7 pitches each. And that brings Winfield Perez to the plate. And here's the first pitch. 96 mile per hour fastball right in there, strike 1. Runner on first with 1 out. Here's the pitch. 97 in there, fouled off. 0-2. Caccione comes to a halt, and here's the pitch. Up and in. Ball one. I don't know if it's because it's early in the morning or because I've done so many games recently, but I'm having to clear my throat a lot. 1-2. High and outside on the curveball. .4:15 in the morning. Over here, still dark outside, but the sun will start coming up soon. Nice and slow. Here comes the 2-2. Fouls it off. 96-mile-per-hour fastball at the top of the zone. Wow. Just makes my voice go out. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 86 miles an hour, fouled off, bounces off the catcher's glove. Pitch number 7 coming up to Winsil Perez. Here's the toss. 85 miles an hour on the outside edge, and that's strike 3. Zaccone gets his first strikeout, and that's out number 2. Right on that outside edge. 2 gone for the Guardians. Runner on first base. Here's the toss. 96 miles an hour right in there. Strike 1 to Spencer Torkelson. Carpenter at first base. 0-1 is the count. Here comes the pitch. High and outside, 1-1. There's the pitch. 95 miles an hour just outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Crowd booed a little bit, but that was clearly out of the zone. Two and 1 pitch on the way. 95 low and outside, but swing and a miss. 2-2. They're showing an hour before he threw the first pitch. Zaccone was just pretending to throw the ball, not actually throwing it, just going through the motions. 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs and a runner on. Here's the toss. They rung him up on a pitch outside off the plate. That was no less than a full inch outside the zone, but the umpire rung him up. Torkelson strikes out, and that'll be it for the Tigers in the top of the first. 1 walk, no hits. Couple of strikeouts for Caccione. We go to the bottom of the first. Jack Flaherty will be on the mound for the Tigers. Stephen Kwan is leading it off today, followed by George Valera and Jose Ramirez. Got about 16 people watching right now. I appreciate you joining in. Always good to have more people. The more the merrier. If you have a moment to like the live stream, please do so now. Later on, as more and more viewers come in and check out the game, especially if it's close near the end. Apparently, the way it's gone is that the more viewers I get, the smaller percentage of likes come in on the live stream. It's kind of strange. I don't know why that is, but whenever the viewer counts are lower, it seems that the quality of thumbs up is higher. Like the viewer quality is higher. There's that strikeout. Yeah, he didn't like that at all. Torkelson was quite upset. Cleveland versus the world? I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think the world has anything against the Cleveland Guardians. But you could say that it is definitely Astros versus the world. That's for sure. Astros fans know what I'm talking about. Hey, Gregory, good to see you. Thank you for the thumbs up. Absolutely. Absolutely missing the Stros. Every day that goes by without a game, it feels like either the All-Star break or it feels like something's wrong, something's off, something's not right in the force. First pitch to Quan is low for ball one. 704 OPS, 272 batting average. Here's the pitch. That's right in there. Fastball for a strike one. 1-1. Yeah, Landon, I'm aware of that. That's why we're here. That's a strike two right in there. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Quan. Here comes the toss. That's high. 93 mile an hour fastball above the zone. Here comes the 2-2 delivery. Quan hits that one out into left center. Left fielder calls for it. He's going to put it away. Route number 1. Quan flies out on 5 pitches. George Valera comes to the plate. Here comes the first pitch. Valera takes that one, slider low for ball 1. Nobody on base here in the bottom of the first for the Guardians with 1 away. Valera with a 220 batting average, 748 OPS for the season. That one catches the bottom outside corner on the slider for strike 1. 1-1. Gregory, is there a chance we get a new pitcher from one of these teams? I don't know. There's a bouncer to the third base side, and he throws him out, no problem. Valera grounds out to third on just 3 pitches. Jose Ramirez comes to the plate with 2 down. Kyle Manzardo on deck if Ramirez happens to get on. Angel says, I think it's because it's the usual suspects. We know the deal. Below the zone, first pitch is a ball. 79 mile per hour curve, looked like. Angel says, we click on the stream automatically. Go and click immediately. I guess we're all well trained. A well-oiled, perfectly trained robot. Robotic limbing. Auto-click mode. 2 balls and no strikes to Ramirez. Here comes the pitch. Outside, 3-0. Looks like he's giving Ramirez a little bit more respect than he did the first 2 batters. A little bit more consideration. Here comes the 3-0. That's a fastball right in there. 3-1. Here's the toss. 78 miles an hour on the curveball, and he fouls it off on the first base side. That's another full count. The first full count for the Guardians on the offensive side. 2 outs, nobody on. Here comes the pitch from Flaherty. Oh, he struck him out. Slider, low and inside. Ramirez chased it. 3 up and 3 down for Flaherty. Slightly better inning than Caccione. No walk, no hit. We have all goose eggs in the first inning. 100% goose eggs. Caccione will be facing Riley Green, Dylan Dingler, and Zach McKinstry when we come back to the game. 9-1-1 Nashville. Is there really enough danger in Nashville to write an entire TV series about its 9-1-1? They really do go overboard. Grey's Anatomy is still on. It must be. Oh, it's on the Hulu. Maybe that's the old series, or is that new episodes? I feel like that show's been around forever. Recently, there was a movie to come out here in Japan that's kind of like what you would call a 911 movie. Essentially, it's I believe it's about a disaster related to volcanic activity, which makes sense because it's Japan. But that only makes sense for a movie because it's not like you can have a regular TV show based on earthquake disasters and volcanic activity over and over and over. Japan does have more disaster issues than that, such as landslides and typhoons, flooding also. But I think that a TV show with regular disasters and things just wouldn't make any sense. They'd have to do like minor emergencies. The very first pitch to Dingler is hit out into center field. The rookie DeLauder is in the game again today, and he makes the play. Much better start than he had yesterday. Landon talks about basketball being the most complaining sport. If they don't get enough minutes playing time, they complain. Well, I would too if I were playing. I used to play basketball pretty seriously. And if I weren't getting enough playing time, I would definitely complain. I have before. 89 miles an hour on the outside edge. Strike one to McKinstry. No, this is Dingler. I'm sorry. It was Green that flew out. Man, they changed the information on my scoreboard faster than I realized. That doesn't usually happen. 93 on the inside. Strike two to Dingler. There were some times where the coach would pull me out because he thought that I needed a rest. But as soon as he'd pull me out, I didn't understand because I didn't need a rest. And the rest of my team were terrible, so we'd start losing the game. And I'd say, "What are you doing?" And he would have to put me back in because if we had like a 4 or 5 point lead or a 7 or 8 point lead and he pulled me out, we'd start losing the lead. And he'd have to be putting me back in. 1-2, swing and a miss, high fastball. That's the kind of team that I had my senior year of high school. I carried the team. And so whenever I came out, even if we were playing a poor team, they would just start getting the better of my teammates because I was the ball handler and the best shot on the team. First pitch now to McKinstry with 2 outs. Curveball right in there. That was a beautiful pitch. 0-1 is the count. Caccioni? I don't know. You never know from day to day if a team will be able to hit any particular pitcher. I mean, there are general indicators, and you can look at their performance, but this is hit down the right field line. Going to be taken by the first baseman. Easily played. 3 up and 3 down for Zacconi. The Tigers go in order. But Landon, to your question, any particular day can belong to anybody. So it's possible that they light him up today, but it's also possible they don't score a single run. Both are possible. Gregory got you some basketball cards? What brand of cards did you get? Do they still have Leaf cards and Upper Deck cards? Do they still make cards? Those foil pack cards back in the day, they became all the rage. But man, were they expensive. And to get those main cards, you know, those main rookie cards. I remember that Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card that everybody wanted. Holy crap, man. You had to buy like thousands of packs to get that card. I wound up getting the second year card, the Upper Deck Ken Griffey Jr. second year card, which was a big deal for me. But I never got the first year Griffey rookie. That's one of those cards I would buy if my finances were really good, you know. Sometimes to buy something requires you to get behind on things that you have to pay for. You know what I'm saying? But somebody who has more than enough money never struggles with any type of bills, any types of bills. Doesn't struggle at all with the simple things and has money to burn. In a situation like that, it would be nice to buy such a card. 1 ball, no strikes. The first pitch to Manzardo is outside the zone. The 1-0 pitch from Flaherty on the way. Swing and a miss. 94 miles an hour. Up and out. 1-1. It's all goose eggs right now between the Tigers and the Guardians. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Low and outside, but in the zone. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Manzardo. Well, if he lost every time he pitched, are you talking about every time he pitched to the Yankees? Pretty sure that he didn't lose all of his games in the season. Next pitch is right in there, a fastball. Couldn't have been a better pitch right down the middle. Manzardo couldn't get to it. He missed it. That's a strikeout. 95. Manzardo just wasn't ready for the fastball. Chase DeLauder at the plate, the rookie. He hits it right through the hole in the very first pitch. First hit of the game. Crowd starts cheering. That's a 1-out base runner. First hit in the MLB. Very first pitch. That's his family right there. Celebrating his first hit. Woo, 93, a couple inches outside the zone on the inside, called a strike. Oh, and 1 is the count to Gabriel Arias. That's another one on that inside edge. Strike 2. 0-2 is the count with 1 down and 1 on first. Here's the pitch. The 0-2. Swing and a miss in the dirt. He goes down on 3 pitches. Terrible at bat there. For Arias. Bo Naylor comes to the plate next. He's got a runner on first with 1 out. Here's the toss. Low and outside on the curveball. Ball 1. Painting? Panini? Do you mean painting? Are you painting? Two balls and no strikes to Mr. Naylor. After 3 straight strikes, Flaherty has delivered 2 balls. Here comes the 2-0 count. Pitch. 94 miles an hour. Up and out. Swing and a miss. 2-1. Next pitch, low and inside. Could have been a strike. Called a ball. 3-1. So they've got 6 packs in a box and 6 cards in a pack. Is that right? 36 total. 85 on the outside. It's fouled off. Full count. That's the homer they showed from Bo Naylor. Nice 3-run shot for the Guardians. Big moment for them. 2 outs, runner on first. 3-2 pitch. Runner's off. He fouls it off. He's going to have to turn around and go back to first. What do you do with your cards, Gregory? Do you just try to collect a whole set, or do you just try to get certain cards, or do you do something with your cards? What's your reason for collecting them? 87 miles an hour on the outside. Fouled off. Count remains full. Full count to Bo Naylor. Jack Flaherty dealing for the Tigers. Here's the toss. In the low part of the zone, he hits that one up in the air. Might be playable, and it is over on the right side. Put away. Torres, the second baseman, comes way over to get it. Score remains 0-0, but DeLauder, the rookie for the Guardians, not only gets his first MLB hit, but also the first hit of this game. But through 2 innings, it's all goose eggs. Top of the third coming up. Caccione will be back on the mound, facing Javier Baez. Texas Dave, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Looks like we're getting close to about 30 people in the stream. I appreciate it. There's a commercial break right now. It's strange when I see commercials like this. They show people that look very conservative, very straight-laced. Like this girl here. You couldn't see her, but she's working like at some kind of cafe. She's dressed very conservatively. It looks like a lady that goes to church or something, and she's got tattoos on her arms. So strange. I feel like a lot more people nowadays have tattoos than there used to be. That's still not something that goes over very well in Japan. If you're a foreigner, they don't really think about it as much because they know that you're not Yakuza. Yakuza is basically Japanese. People think it just means like a mafia, right? Mafioso. Organized crime. But Yakuza doesn't just mean the organized crime. It also basically refers to criminals. But the idea in Japan is that if a Japanese person has tattoos, especially visible tattoos, then they are most likely a criminal or related to unsavory activity or illegal activity. Swing and a miss on that first pitch. Baez at the plate. 0-1 pitch from Caccioni on the way. In the dirt and outside, 1-1. Caccioni up to 36 pitches now. But if you come here and you visit like an onsen or a hot bath and you have any tattoos on you, you might have to cover them up. Swing and a miss. Nice breaking pitch on the outside. 1-2 is the count. Yeah, either they will not let you go into the onsen or you have to cover up your tattoos. It's the same thing with some jobs. Even if you're a foreigner, if they say you have a tattoo, they might not let you come in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Gregory says, I like putting all the sports cards by nicknames in an ABC order. I love collecting them and putting them in plastics. Oh, cards by team names. Okay, I see. Low and outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 Baez. Nobody on, nobody out. September records. Detroit was worst in September. Guardians were best. Isn't that crazy? And the Astros still missed out. Detroit was the worst in September, and the Astros still missed out, even though they were tied, simply because the Tigers had the season series. That's how close the Astros came. They were dead tie and a dead tie with the Tigers. But the season series between the two went to the Tigers. Shallow left fly out for Baez, and that's 1 down. Valera takes care of it, no problem. Parker Meadows comes to the plate. I always wanted to have a complete set of cards, Gregory. I wanted the complete set. If you had the money, you could just go buy the set directly, right? They had the whole set for sale. 85 in the bottom of the zone. Nice slider. Strike 1. But I never had the money to buy the set. And if I had the time and the money to spend, it'd be nice to build the set myself, by buying the cards, putting it together, building a complete set. That'd be kind of cool. 1 ball, 1 strike. With that ball in the dirt. Guardians already have a reliever warming up. Grounder to the right side. That's another base hit right through. This time, it's the Tigers. So the Tigers get the same exact type of base hit for their first hit, a grounder between the first and second baseman. And they have a runner on with one out, completely mimicking what the Guardians did last inning. Landon is saying that the Yankees win tonight 7-1. Here's the toss. Gleyber Torres at the plate. He fouls that off. Strike one. Let me see what the ESPN matchup predictor has to say about that game between the Red Sox and the Yankees. Here comes the next pitch to Torres. That is a little high. 1 ball, 1 strike. Piccioni wants a new ball, and they give it to him. Gregory says, I like the chase for numbered and patch cards. I like the surprise and opening their packs. I used to love getting the special hologram cards and the rare cards. Those were pretty cool. Just suddenly get one of those cards that they don't have many of. That was always awesome. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Grounded through on the right side. It's going to get through, and looks like he's going to head over to third. He fumbles the ball out in the right field. Torres is on with a hit through the hole on the right side, an opposite field grounder. Valera fumbled the ball out there. Runners on the corners now for the Tigers. Saccone is going to be out. That's going to be it. They're going to go ahead and make a pitching change right here. 0-0 here in the top of the third. The Tigers have 1 out and 2 runners on the corners, first and third. Saccone is going to be replaced with another pitcher. Yeah, it seemed like that was planned. Bullpen game. Just let the pitcher stay in for a couple of innings. Pull in the next guy. And then the next guy, then the next guy. Gregory likes the signature cards and the hologram cards. Yep. I got a Hank Aaron hologram card. Upper Deck had some special cards that were, I can't remember how many they had. They had about 5, I think, something like that in the set. Special hologram cards for players from history. And I just happened to get one of the Hank Aaron hologram cards. That was one of the best cards that I got out of the Upper Deck set when I was able to buy some of those packs. Second year, Ken Griffey Jr., the Hank Aaron hologram, couple of other rookies. You know, it really sucks because I had almost a complete set of rookies for the second year of Upper Deck cards. And if I'd been able to meet with other people and trade and stuff, I probably could have gotten a complete set. But I was just missing a couple of cards. And I had a few that were really big prospects in the MLB, but they didn't turn out to do anything. So those cards became practically worthless. Tim Herron is going to be on the mound now for the Guardians. Here's the first pitch. He is facing Harry Carpenter. That's a strike on the inside edge. 0-1 is the count. Herron is working with runners on the corners, left from Saccone. Here's the pitch. Grounded to the third base side. They say that's fair. It bounces off the first baseman's glove. The Tigers are going to score 1 run, and he fumbles it at first. In foul territory, the runner at third almost comes home, and he holds up at the last moment. But Carpenter over there went over to get the ball after it got by the first baseman. I'm sorry, Carpenter is the one who hit the ball. That was Carpenter's single. You'll be able to see, I think, a close-up here in just a moment. Here it is. He tries to backhand it, and he misses it. It just bounces off his glove, and then it goes into foul territory. And then the right fielder fumbles it, trying to get it and get it in. Runners on second and third with 1 out. First pitch is a ball to Winfield Perez. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. 95 on the outside edge, swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. Gregory says, I got a Fred Van Vliet, Cam Whitmore from the Rockets in the first pack, and a signature Pelicans card. Interesting. Foul ball into the stands, and the count is 1-2. One out, runners on second and third. The Tigers are up 1-0. In the top of the third. There's the toss. This is hit high in the air on the infield. Everybody comes in to go for it. First baseman takes it. Cafis and Ramirez almost ran into each other. It seemed like everybody wanted it, except for the pitcher who cleared out. That was pretty ridiculous. Heron, the pitcher, was acting like he was retarded or something. He was standing there looking up at the ball, slowly walking out of the way instead of getting out of the way. Ramirez ran into him as he was trying to get over there to the ball. Very unaware pitcher as it relates to infield flies, that's for sure. First pitch to Torkelson is a ball. The way Heron was just kind of standing there and slowly walking to the side and looking up with his mouth open. It was like he was dumbfounded by the fly ball. That's in there in the bottom of the zone for a strike. 2 outs, 2 runners on. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the toss. In the dirt. 2-1. JD says that Seattle media saying Brian Wu will not be available for Game 1. I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised at all. 2-1. Runners on second and third with 2 outs. Spencer Torkelson at the plate. Here's the pitch. 81 in the bottom of the zone. He takes it for strike 2, and the count's even. Heron changes the ball. The crowd finally comes to their feet, looking for an out. Here comes the toss. On the outside edge, fouled away. The count remains 2-2. Got about 25 people following along right now. I feel like my channel's just getting started. Just 25 people. It feels like a year ago when I was just getting started. 94, low and inside, swing and a miss. Torkelson has the torque removed from his name by Heron, and that's a strike 3 and an out 3. The Tigers threaten a lot, but come away with 1. Already the Tigers are going back to the way they were playing yesterday. Lots of guys on base and few results. 6 men on base, and they've only managed to move them around enough to get 1 run. The Guardians, on the other hand, have only missed 2 opportunities to move a man around, so 6 lobsters for the Tigers, 2 for the Guardians. Jack Flaherty will be back up on the mound with 30 pitches here in the bottom of the 3rd, and he'll be facing C.J. Kafis to start it off, then Brian Rocchio and Stephen Kwan. Yeah, opening cards nowadays just doesn't have the same appeal for me as it used to. I don't remember the last time. No, wait a second. The other day I bought a package of food, and on the outside it had a pack of cards. I don't really count that, but anyway, I opened that, and inside it had 2 cards. One card is a card from the local team, the Hiroshima Carp, and the other card is from a random team in the Professional Baseball League. So technically, I just opened a pack of cards a couple days ago, but that's kind of different. It came with the packaged food. They're trying to encourage people to buy more of that food, right? Because you can get the complete set of cards. But yet I have to spend quite a bit of money, I think, to get all of those cards. But it just happened to come with the food. 77 mile per hour breaking pitch. That looked like a, was that a curveball? Yep, think so. Another one. 2 back-to-back curveballs from Flaherty, both outside, 2-0. Yeah, and after that, he asks for a new ball. Here comes the next pitch. That's hit hard to right field, all the way out to the crowd. That was almost in the corner. Strike 1 to Kafis. 2 balls and 1 strike. Kafis, the leadoff this inning, the bottom of the 3rd. 3 hits for the Tigers and 1 run. 1 hit for the Guardians. No runs yet. Next pitch. That one goes up the middle and speared by the shortstop. Javier Baez grabs that. One down. They are showing some highlights of Brian Rocchio's previous glory. 1 down, nobody on. With Rocchio at the plate, he takes the first pitch as a strike on that outside edge. 86 mile per hour slider. Hey, Coco. It's been a while. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Here comes the next pitch from Flaherty. Low and outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. 5 o'clock in the morning here. I'm glad that I was able to get to bed a lot earlier. But man, I was having a very strange dream last night, or this morning when I woke up. 86 miles per hour below the zone. 2-1. Here comes the 2-1. That's ripped to right field. It might be gone. It's foul again into the stands. Holy cow. You got a hold of that one. That was a line drive shot that got out in just a couple of seconds. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Brian Rocchio taking some good swings, some nice hacks at this pitch, at these pitches, rather. Here's a toss. Swing and a miss. That was not a good hack. Flaherty gets the strikeout despite the noise from Rocchio. That's 2 up and 2 down. Take a look at this dirty pitch. He did him wrong, did him dirty. Steven Kwan comes back to the plate. Kwan is the leadoff batter today. He's 0 for 1 so far. Here's the toss. Lower outside corner called strike 1. That was perfectly placed. Here is the 0-1 pitch. That's in the dirt for ball 1. Counts even with 2 outs, 1-1. Hey, Faith, thank you so much. There's a 1-1 pitch. He hits it on the left side. Difficult play, but he makes the throw. And that'll be out number 3 as Kwan is thrown out on the little ground ball to third base. Guardians are not able to answer in the bottom of the third. It's 1-0. The Tigers are leading the Guardians at the end of 3. Inning number 4 coming up in just a little bit. Tim Herron likely still on the mound for the Guardians. He'll be facing Riley Green, then Dylan Dingler, and Zach McKinstry. Coco says it's 3 o'clock in Houston. Daylight savings time should be coming up soon in the U.S., right? I'm going to have to readjust the time in my head. They do not do the daylight savings time here in Japan. Actually, no matter where you go in Japan, the time doesn't change. So if you're all the way in the east or all the way in the west, it matters not. It's the same time everywhere in Japan. So 5 o'clock a.m. in Tokyo, right now, 5:03. It's the same time here in Hiroshima, 5:03. But in the U.S., because of the daylight savings time changes, I have to stop and think for a moment. What is the time right now? Because I know it changes a couple times a year. And thank you for leaving the like, Faith. I do appreciate that. I really do. These games right now are pretty important for me. This is a transition time for my channel. Another growing pain, I guess you could say. Just as my channel starts to really kind of do well and take off, the Astros get knocked out of the playoffs. And then I was forced to think about what I'm going to be doing between now and next season. And I realized that I can't sustain a channel that's only focused on the Astros unless I have some other way of earning income that allows me to stay at home and earn money. Then I can't just do the baseball games. So that's why I shifted over to doing, well, temporarily these MLB playoff games, but I'll be doing the Texans football games and the Rockets basketball games. So that's what I'll be doing in the off season, the off baseball season. 93 miles an hour outside. Riley Green at the plate. 2 balls and no strikes. Joey Cantillo on the mound for the Guardians. That's fouled out into the right field stands way up there in the upper deck. That was a big fly ball. 2 balls and 1 strike to Green. Here's the toss. That's lined out into left field. That'll be down for an opposite field hit. Is Green going to go for 2? He has to put on the brakes at first. The ball's thrown over the head of the second baseman. But Green stays on first. That's all Larry does, I think, on this channel. He comes in, drops a comment. I've got 5K on this team today. I've got 5K on that team today. And then leaves. Larry, I don't believe you at all. I think you say that, but I think that that's not true. I don't think that you actually have any money bet. If you do, you have probably like, maybe you have 5,000 pesos bet on this game. Coco says, we had lots of issues with this year. I hope my Texans can get it together. Me too. I really enjoyed the game the other day. That was the first game I was able to watch and do the play call for. 1 ball, 1 strike on that pitch to Dingler. Runner on first with no outs. Leadoff single for the Tigers. Here's the pitch from Cantillo. That's high. 2 balls and 1 strike on the changeup. Coco says, I'm expecting the Rockets to do it for me this year. Oh, November 2nd. Thank you, Coco. I appreciate that. It makes me aware. It's one of those things I keep forgetting to look up. That pitch is outside for ball 3. 3-1 is the count to Dingler. This is the 3rd pitcher for the Guardians. The next pitch will be Cantillo's 10th. Inside, fouled off on the right side. Full count. Yeah, you know, Coco, Stroud missed 1 throw. They should have had an extra touchdown, right? Should have been 33-0 in that game. 92 miles an hour, low and inside. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Cantillo gets a strike. And a strikeout. That's the first out of the inning. Runner on first with 1 down. Take a look at it from the umpire's point of view. Right. 3. Ring him up. Zach McKinstry at the plate takes that first pitch high for ball 1. But I will tell you this, Coco, you know, the game, even when it was just a low scoring game, it was like 6-0. I was having fun watching it and calling it. So much different than doing baseball. It feels fresh, feels new, feels much more action-packed, you know. Even when they're not scoring, there's always something going on the field. 2 balls and no strikes. Here's the toss. That's high, up and in. 3 balls and no strikes. 3 straight balls to McKinstry. But I'm hoping my channel can grow a lot. I'd love to be at least to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But my dream goal would be to be at 5,000 subs, but I don't know if it's going to happen. We'll see. Ball 4. 4-pitch walk. 2 men on with 1 out. Cantillo gives up a single, then gets a full count strikeout, and then pitches 4 straight balls, 3 completely different results. And Javier Baez comes to the plate. 680 OPS for the season. Little break on the mound right now as the pitcher talks to Naylor. It's a Cantillo-Naylor meeting. Who's your favorite player on the Rockets, Coco? And by the way, if you're up for it, can you give me an update on the Rockets? Can you tell me what you think about their players, who's their best, who's their weakest, what changes you would make? Feel free to tell me as much information as you can because I haven't watched it all. And I'm going to start calling their games soon, so I've got to do a little bit of research. First pitch is in there, strike 1 to Baez. 0-1 is the count. But I agree with you about Stroud. He can do great as long as they block. Every once in a while, he makes a bad throw, but overall, he's a pretty interesting guy because he's so low key. Somebody made the joke the other day that he's really not depressed. I know it seems like it, but he's really not depressed. It's so funny hearing him talk off the field and then on the field when he's calling the plays. He sounds like two completely different guys. Swing and a miss, low and in the dirt. Nice toss on the changeup from Cantillo, and he gets the swing and the miss, and that's out number 2. Runners on first and second. Cantillo picks up another K, but he goes after that one pretty quickly. So he walks a guy on 4 straight pitches, and he comes right back in just the minimal amount of pitches to strike out Baez. This inning is so crazy for Cantillo. He's kind of all over the place. Next batter is Parker Meadows. Up and outside, just barely missing the corner. It's 1-0. Yeah, James Harden. I remember the Harden era. Here's a toss. Low in the dirt, 2-0. Gregory says, I got a Spurs rookie Steven Castle card and a Lakers Thunder Road rookie. Oh, man, I had some really nice basketball cards way back in the day, Gregory. Here's the pitch. Hit high in the air. Of course, the one I wanted was that, I think it was a Fleer Michael Jordan rookie. But, that was everybody's dream to have that card. That's it for the Tigers. Fly ball to Quan in left field, and he puts it away. So Cantillo gets in a slight jam, but he's able to spread it on some toast and eat it and relax with a cup of coffee. Maybe dunk it in some cold milk and get out of the inning. Jack Flaherty will be back up on the mound for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 4th. He's up to 42 pitches, 27 strikes in the zone. George Valera is going to lead it off, followed by Jose Ramirez and Kyle Manzardo. What are the best basketball cards that I had? I had some early David Robinson cards that were pretty valuable. I had a lot of Tim Hardaway rookie cards. Let's see, what else did I have? The Skybox. Do you remember Skybox? Do they still have Skybox basketball cards? Gregory? I had a lot of nice Skybox cards. Some nice rookies and some cool cards. I liked their design on their cards. But I actually had the Fleer Hakeem Olajuwon card. That was a really nice card to have. Not his rookie card, I believe, but it was a nice card. Let's see, what other cards did I have? What other basketball cards did I have? I think the best ones I had at the time were the Olajuwon card and the David Robinson card. But I did have several nice Tim Hardaway cards. He said, we're getting runners on. I know we're having a hard time with the extra base hits and scoring the runs. Do you think so? Right now, in just 4 innings, the Tigers have 11 lobsters already. They're on pace to match their lobsters from yesterday. 94, low and outside, but called a strike. It was a little outside the zone. Kind of a stretch there. Strike 1 for Flaherty. Valera calls timeout. Gregory says, I don't want the Mariners winning the World Series and having bragging rights. Yeah, I don't really want the Mariners to win the World Series. I definitely don't want that. If they get knocked out of the playoffs, it'll be like, see, same old, same old. Same old Mariners. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Takes that one in the dirt, low and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Valera. Jalen Green, guard. My favorite player right now. Okay. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Right in the bottom of the zone. 87-mile-per-hour slider. That was a good toss. 2-2. George Valera had a home run in this series. Here's the toss. He rips that one out into right field. It's going to go all the way to the wall. Should have himself a double. He's booking it. Here's the throw. And he slides in there just in time. And the Guardians have a leadoff runner on second base. Finally, something going for the Guardians. So funny because the Guardians and the Tigers basically continued what they were doing yesterday. Guardians struggling to just get guys on base. And the Tigers getting guys on base, but they can't bring them home. Jose Ramirez comes to the plate with a runner in scoring position and no outs. Low and inside, ball 1. Let's see if the Guardians can get to Flaherty. Go Stros, Gregory. Here's the toss. Outside. 2-0. Gregory says, I think they stopped Skybox in 2000 or 1995. Yeah, I don't remember seeing those. I haven't seen those in a really, really long time. Here's the toss. In the dirt. 3-0. 3 straight balls to Ramirez. That's the same way he started him off last time, I believe. Not really pitching to him straight. Here comes the 3-0 pitch from Flaherty. Low and outside, but he gets that lower corner. Strike 1, 3-1. Coco says our starters this year are Jalen Green, Amen Thompson. Here comes the 3-1 pitch. Fouled off, 80 at the bottom of the zone. 3-2 is the count. Kevin Durant, guard. The Warriors, Kevin Durant, by the way. SF Jabari Smith, small forward. Jabari Smith Jr. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Ramirez goes right up the middle. It's going to score a run. He's waved around. Ramirez gets on with a single, and he's got himself an RBI. The game is tied 1-1. No wonder they keep trying to toss around him. He just squeaked it by the second baseman. And this game is tied here in the bottom of the 4th. The Guardians get a leadoff runner and promptly score him. Man, what a hit. What a tough pitch to go after. You can see where he just barely squeaks it through. Well, here's the next pitch to Kyle Manzardo. That's in there for strike 1. They were trying to show the replay, but the next pitch came in and they stopped it. Here comes the 0-1 toss from Flaherty. Long delay. 95 on the outside edge. Ball 1. The count's even. One ball, 1 strike. Here's the toss. Ramirez still in second base, and they call him out. Are they going to take a look at it? That was a good throw. It looks like they're not going to challenge it. It was just a perfect throw and a perfect tag. Look at this. Woo! Man. Wow. They don't throw him out very often. But that's out number 1. The bases are now clear. 2 balls and 1 strike. Here's the toss. A little outside, 3-1. As of now, I don't think we changed anything roster-wise with the Rockets. Gotcha. Here's the toss, 3-1. Fouls it off, the 95-mile-per-hour fastball right in there. Full count. Gregory likes Jason Tatum. JD is pulling for the Mariners. Full count with 1 out, nobody on. Chase DeLauder, the rookie, at the plate. Coming up next, Manzardo gets the walk to first base. One runner on first, 1 out. Swing and a miss on the first pitch. DeLauder goes after that one low and away on the changeup. No balls, 1 strike. I'm going to make some errors here and there. It's early. It's 5:20 in the morning. Here's the toss. Little bouncer up the middle. Looks like it's going to be an easy double play. Terrible throw to first base, but he was able to get it. A bouncer right up the middle, right by the bag. All he had to do is step on the bag and then throw it to first, and that will stop the inning. But thanks to that base hit by Ramirez, the Guardians tie it up 1-1. 4 hits for the Tigers so far this game and 3 for the Guardians, 1-1. We are done with 4 innings of ball. We go to the top of the 5th. I wonder if the Guardians will change pitchers again or if they're going to keep Cantillo in. We'll see. Gleyber Torres is set to lead it off, followed by Kerry Carpenter and Winfield Perez. Let's see here. Coco says for the Rockets, October 21st is the first game. Oh, yeah, the first regular season game. I know they've got some preseason games coming up. And by the way, I'm planning to call some of those, if not all of those games, those preseason games. If I can actually get them, then I will call them. I don't know yet if I'm going to be able to view those games, but if I can view them, and I think I will be able to, then I will call them. First game for the Rockets, regular season, they play against the Oklahoma City Thunder, former NBA Finals champs. 6:30 p.m. for you? Mm-hmm. Most basketball games will be played at 6:30, 7 p.m. for me. Okay. I'm glad to know that. So, if most games are played between 6:30 and 7 o'clock, that basically means 8:30 to 9 o'clock a.m. for me. I think that the NBA schedule is going to be very comfortable for me. Don't they usually play 3 to 5 games a week? Isn't that right? 3 to 5 games in a week is very comfortable. Sometimes baseball, they can play like 18 or 20 games in a row, right? Every single day. And the times are always slightly different. They might have 2 games at 9 o'clock in the morning for me. And then the next game is 2 o'clock in the morning because they'll end it with an afternoon game. And then they'll go to another city to play. Cantillo looks like he's back on the mound. First pitch is a curveball right in there for strike 1 to Torres. Here comes the toss. Low and inside, strike 2. Got the corner. 0-2 to Torres. Yeah, actually, Coco, a couple of my viewers said, you should take care of your health. Maybe doing the basketball and football games in the offseason will be too difficult on your health. But when I looked at it, I realized calling the Texans games once a week and calling the Rockets games throughout the week, it's actually much easier, more relaxing, and a better schedule than calling the Astros games alone. 78 miles an hour outside and high. 2-2 is the count. Top of the fifth, nobody on. It's a beautiful day, it is. It is 2-2. Torres takes that one low. Starts off with 2 strikes. Takes 3 straight balls, and now it's a full count. Hey, Coco, feel free to share as much as you want. I'm really happy to hear it. I mean, honestly, I know almost nothing because, like I said, I haven't been watching. So, if you can let me know who the main rivals are, what the divisions are like right now. Swing and a miss. That's a strikeout for Cantillo. 1 up and 1 down. Torres goes down, and Kerry Carpenter comes up next. But, I mean, honestly, seriously, feel free to share as much as you like. Anybody wants to tell me about the Texans or the Rockets, who you like, who you don't like, tell me why. Who are the biggest games, the toughest teams that they have to play? Feel free to fill me in because I know pretty much everything there is to know about the current Astros because I've been doing their games consistently for the past year and a half. But I am way behind on the Texans and the Rockets right now. There are a couple of main reasons why. One is because of dealing with cancer over the past 3.5 years. That has just taken my attention away from a lot of things. Baseball was kind of the only sport that I was able to hang on to. And 3-0, 3 straight balls to Kerry Carpenter. Cantillo. I was calling him Cantillo this whole time. Up and in, 4-pitch walk. I think that's the second time Cantillo has done that. He's up to 30 pitches. 1 out, 1 runner on. Here in the top of the fifth. JD says, would you consider dealing Yordan? At this point, I think I would. That's a really big depends, JD, because if Yordan had just been able to play, think about how crazy this is. If Yordan had just been able to play 10 extra games this season, then more than likely he would have won one of those games single-handedly for the Astros, and that one game would have put us in the playoffs. So that's how important it was that we didn't have him in the lineup. But depending on what we could get, it's a highly questionable question, but it depends. For me, it depends on what we'd get back. If we could get back some guaranteed stuff that would give us a solid future, then it would be fine. But otherwise, I would just hope that he can remain healthy and hit the ball. But his health is the main thing that bothers me. Swing and a miss, low and outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, 1 runner on. Counts 2-2 to Winsil Perez. Joey Cantillo on the mound. Here's the toss. He bounces it up the middle. Sliding stop. Wow. An unassisted double play. Very similar to the Tigers' unassisted double play. This one was a little nicer. Nice sliding stop by Rocchio. Steps on the bag and fires over to first base to get the double play. And that's it for the Tigers. In the top of the fifth. It's 1-1. Going into the bottom of the fifth inning. Gabriel Arias due up, followed by Bo Naylor and CJ Kafis. Let me go back and check. There are a couple of comments here. Coco says, every now and then the Rockets get the 4 p.m. game times and 9 p.m., 10 o'clock p.m. and 5 o'clock p.m. Well, right now, Coco, you can basically add 2 hours to those times and then flip it to p.m. or, yeah. So, for example, or a.m. rather. So, for example, a 4 o'clock p.m. game would be 6 a.m. for me. A 10 o'clock p.m. game would be noon. It would be lunchtime for me. A 5 o'clock p.m. game would be 7 a.m. for me. So I'm okay with all of those. Even a 6 a.m. game for me is okay because with baseball, I was about to say I've gotten used to some of these games being at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I don't really get used to that. I just try my best to adapt. You know, I try to make sure that I sleep plenty beforehand, but I realize that it takes some effort several days before. So I have to make sure my sleeping schedule sets me up for success a couple of days beforehand. If I have a regular sleeping schedule, like say I have, you know, like the Astros maybe have games at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning for me, and so I can sleep a regular schedule, get up and do that game, and then suddenly they have an afternoon game at like 2 a.m. for me on that third game. If I sleep a regular schedule, then it's possible when I lie down early that night to try to get some sleep, I'm not able to sleep until you know it's maybe 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock because I've had more than enough sleep. You know what I'm saying? So what I have to do is I have to make sure that I get up really, really early those days. If I can get up really, really early, then I'll be sleepy early. And I can probably lie down at least by 9 o'clock and get almost 5 hours of sleep. If I can get at least 5 hours of sleep, it's okay. I can always take a nap after the game, you know. Jack Flaherty is still in the game. First pitch to Bo Naylor is hit. I'm sorry, not Bo Naylor. That's not Bo Naylor. That was Arias. Arias hits that first pitch out into center field for a fly ball out. I've discovered that my feed is actually behind. Here's the toss. Bo Naylor at the plate takes that first pitch for strike one. I'm going to reload my page to see if I can get it a little updated. Hey, Daryl, I'm all right. How are you doing? Good to see you. 1 ball, 1 strike to Naylor. Here comes the next pitch. Looks like it's going to be a strike. And it is. 88 miles an hour, low and outside on the changeup. Yeah, it's interesting because the video feed is slightly behind the live score. If you look on the screen right now, it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here comes the second ball. Yep. Low and inside. It looks like this is going to be another out. It's on the screen already. That's interesting. Usually don't see that the feed coming up faster than the game. That's hit out into left field all the way in the corner, and he makes the catch. Riley Green pulls it in for out number 2. 2 up and 2 down. Flaherty is up to 68 pitches here in the bottom of the 5th. But yeah, the time zones are a little strange. But I think overall, even the early games for the Rockets are no problem. If they play at 4 p.m., that's great. I mean, 6 a.m. for me is no problem. I don't mind that. 78 miles an hour, low and outside. CJ Kafis at the plate with 2 outs and nobody on. Here's the pitch, the 1-0. Outside again, 2-0. Coco says because the Texans mostly play on Sundays and normally get 1 Thursday game, 1 Monday night game. Yeah, that's right. Most of the time, for me, they're going to play basically at 2 a.m. Here's the pitch. 95 on the outside edge, called a strike, 2-1. But whenever the time zone changes, you know, they do the fallback, right? They make the time go back. So when the time is changed, that will change it for me as well because, you know, I don't make the schedule, right? So I have to follow the schedule. 3 balls and 1 strike. So if the game is normally at 12 o'clock and then daylight savings time comes in where they move the clocks back, that means it's like 11 o'clock, essentially. And when the game is essentially changed, the time is changed, then the time for me will change. Here's the toss. Outside, ball 4. So 2-out walk for Flaherty. Cafus gets on first base. AJ Hinch is coming out. It looks like he's going to make a change finally. Rocchio is a switch hitter. Finnegan is going to come in the game for the Tigers. We're going to have a little break. Kyle Finnegan. That's it for Flaherty. His day's done with 74 pitches and 43 in the zone. Here comes Finnegan. Let's see here. Yeah, so when the time changes, let's see. The time changes in the U.S. So basically, if it's 12 o'clock, that becomes essentially 11 o'clock. So if the game is still at 12 o'clock, I think that it gives me, it's going to make it like a 3-hour time difference, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And that will actually be better for me. Because after the time change, if it's 12 o'clock, the Texans games, that will mean it's a 3 a.m. start time instead of a 2 o'clock start time. So that would be better for me. I mean, it's not a huge difference, but it matters to me because it means that when I go to bed a little early, I can actually get an extra hour of sleep. And that matters a lot, right? Let's see here. I can get caught up on what you're saying here, Coco. The Atlantic, Celtics, Knicks, Raptors, Nets, 76ers, all rivals. Yeah, I can imagine. Central Cavaliers, Pacers, Bucks, Pistons, Bulls. Ohio, Chicago, Milwaukee, Detroit, Indiana. Central. Yep. Tigers and Twins division. The Southwest division is similar to the Braves, the Marlins, Mets. Okay. Division 1, Magic, Hawks, Heat, Hornets, Wizards. Like the Phillies, Marlins, Mets, Wizards, Braves division. Okay. Atlantic is basically the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles, and Rays, but different team names. That's one way to look at it. I never really thought of it that way, but it makes sense. Brian Rocchio is at the plate. Finnegan's first pitch is a strike in there on the curveball. There's a runner on first base with 2 outs. 0-1 is the count. Here comes the pitch. Low and inside, 1-1. Kyle Finnegan, the new pitcher for the Tigers. Rocchio 0 for 1 today at the plate. Yeah, it is a nice day. I mean, here it's very, very early. It's 5:38 in the morning, so I haven't been outside yet, but it's a cool day here, not too cold. Yesterday, the day before, it got pretty chilly in the morning. It got down into the 50s. 1 ball, 2 strikes on that foul ball. It's 1-2 to Rocchio. Here comes the toss. In the dirt. The splitter. Count remains. I'm sorry, the count goes to 2-2. Yeah, I'm sleepwalking here. I can't wait to get a nap at the end of this game. I'm going to need it for that game later today. Here's the toss, the 1-2, or the 2-2 rather. That's high. Full count. Nice take. Coco says the Northeast Division is the Thunder, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Trailblazers, Jazz, similar to the Rockies, Dodgers, Padres, D-backs, and Giants. Okay. Pacific like the Dodgers, Rockies, and Giants, D-backs, and Padres. Here's the pitch. Grounded foul down the first base side. The count remains full. Pacific Division is like the Dodgers, Rockies, Giants, D-backs, Padres. Their teams are Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Kings, and Suns. Full count pitch on the way. 96 fouled off. Kafis getting a lot of exercise running on every single full count pitch. Here comes the next toss. He grounds out one to the first base side, and that's going to be an easy ground out. That'll end the inning. So Finnegan comes in and gets the third out. After one runner on, nothing comes of it. And that's going to be all she wrote for the fifth inning. We are done with 5 innings of ball. It's 1-1. 4 hits for the Tigers, 3 for the Guardians. The Tigers have had 12 men on base that they were not able to move around. The Guardians just 4. So the Guardians and the Tigers still doing the same thing that they did yesterday. The Tigers getting a lot of guys on base, having difficulty moving them in. The Guardians just having a hard time getting guys on base. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Coco says the Rockets division is similar to the Astros. Rockets, Grizzlies, Mavericks, Spurs, Pelicans. Yeah, I kind of figured the Pelicans would be in the same division. The Spurs and Pelicans are our rivals. The Mavericks play in Dallas. Yeah. Yeah. Some of these things I do know, like their locations and stuff. I mean, I grew up watching NBA, and I watched it for a long time. So I'm familiar with some of that stuff. I know that there have been some minor changes over the years. Mostly, if there have been any changes over the past 10 years in divisions or players, then those are a lot of the things that I don't know too much about. But as far as any teams or organizations that have not been moved, that's information that I would already know. Yeah. Yeah, I was actually in Louisiana whenever they got the Pelicans. But do they still have that player? Do the Pelicans still have that lazy player? The guy that has a lot of talent, but he's very lazy and not motivated. And he was gaining a lot of weight. I remember watching a video about him a while back. It was pretty entertaining. I can't remember his name. But everybody was complaining because he had so much talent. And he was supposed to be like their star, but he was lazy and he was constantly eating and gaining weight and stuff and not performing well, and it was really hurting his performance. Do you know what I'm talking about? 0-1 is the count. Cantillo on the mound facing Spencer Torkelson. Torkelson torques that out into right. Running catch by Valera. Looks like he had a little trouble with it at first, but he located it and put it away. 1 down. Cantillo up to 37 pitches. He's now facing Riley Green. Here's the first toss. Low and outside. Ball 1. Yes, Zion, that's the guy. That's the guy I'm talking about. So he did get better? Has he lost weight? Has he got more in shape? Because I know that he was gaining weight. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Low. 2 balls and no strikes. Yeah, I watched a very interesting thing about Zion because he was supposed to really be awesome. He has a ton of talent, but he's lazy. That's in there for strike 1. 2-1. Man. That's hit hard, way up in the air. Should be playable out in right field. They run into each other. Valera and DeLauder don't communicate. DeLauder comes in. They give each other a little hug. Bad news bears. But the Guardians get lucky and he puts it away. They give each other a little hug afterwards. Aw, brotherly love. I know that DeLauder's the rookie, but he's the center fielder, you know. You're supposed to back off and let him take that. 1 ball and no strikes. Dingler takes that one in the bottom of the zone. 1-1, 2 outs, nobody on for the Tigers in the top of the 6th. If you have not liked the live stream, I would ask that you do so now. Got about 42 people watching. Thanks for being here. This is hit hard into left field all the way out to the warning track, and it's gone. Holy cow, it just kept floating and floating and floating. That's going to be a home run for Dylan Dingler. So Dingler hits a dinger. A Dingler dinger. It's 2-1, Tigers. Well, that's one way to do it. If you can't drive in your base runners, you just hit it over the wall, I guess. Cantillo gives up a solo home run, and that's going to be it for him. The Guardians have another guy on the way down the stairs and onto the field. Sobrowski on his way into the game. With that pitch right there. Dingler dings it. A hanging slider right across the waistline. Almost a gimme. Home run derby kind of pitch. Unfortunately for Cantillo. And that's his last batter. They're going to have a little break. It's 2-1 with 5 hits for the Tigers and 3 for the Guardians. The dinger puts the Tigers up here in the top of the 6th. Let me check out the likes on the channel. Well, it sounds like I got my microphone a little hot. Turn that down just a little bit. Yeah, that's a little better, I think. All right, so we've got about 50 people watching and only 26 likes. That's barely half. So let's go ahead and get that up a little bit. Need about 15 more at least to have a good percentage. I appreciate you liking the live stream, clicking that thumbs up if you have the ability to do so. Let's see here. Mitsu says the Astros swept the Dodgers. Why aren't we in the postseason? Have you been watching? Have you been watching the rest of the season? The Dodgers are not unbeatable because they are not good against the Astros. What kind of comment is that? The Dodgers are unbeatable no matter which AL team comes to them. Really? I guess you haven't been watching the Dodgers this season either. You haven't been watching the Astros, and you haven't been watching the Dodgers if you're asking those questions. 0-2, just like that. Sobrowski at the plate, facing Zach McKinstry. 2 outs, nobody on. Here's the pitch. Curveball below the zone, 1-2. Coco said, yes, he did. He just gets injured easily. The Spurs got a guy named Victor. 7'4", white center. Doesn't have to jump. I can imagine. Is he a good shot? Or is it just one of those drop the ball in kind of guys? That's a ground ball. And he throws him out at first base. And that's going to be out number 3. So Sobrowski comes in and gets the final out. And that's it for the Tigers. But they get the single run from the solo homer. And they are up 2-1. We go into the bottom of the 6th. Kyle Finnegan on the mound for the Tigers. Stephen Kwan is going to lead it off. I'm going to step in here just right quick and grab something. I'll be right back. Thanks for listening in. And I appreciate you in advance for clicking that like on the live stream. Well, it looks like we are back. Bottom of the 6th about to start. Stephen Kwan heading to the plate. He's going to be facing Kyle Finnegan. Here comes the first pitch from Finnegan. Kwan takes it outside for ball 1. Coco says he shoots threes, rebounds when healthy. He's a tough boy in dunks, also knows how to block shots. Sounds like a good player. It always amazes me how when people have the body and the ability, they often lack the drive. I would have had more drive if I had a couple of more good assets with my physical ability. Skill was there. I was offered a scholarship to go play college basketball. 2 balls and 1 strike to Stephen Kwan, the leadoff batter in this inning. And here's the toss. 96 fouls it off. 2-2 is the count. But I turned it down because I knew a couple of things were going to limit me. One of those is getting injured. My hands, my fingers, especially my thumbs, my shoulder, my knees, just getting injured too often. And I didn't want to deal with that. 2-2 pitch is hit out into left field. It might drop. No, the shortstop is able to float out there and get it. Baez puts it away. That's hard to believe. They just said that Kwan has only got 1 hit in all 3 games in this series. That's crazy. So Kwan goes back to the dugout, and that'll bring up George Valera. 1 down. Here's the toss. 98 on the inside. Strike 1. If I had not gotten injured so often, I didn't have any really major injuries, but I had stuff that was constantly bothering me, and I got tired of dealing with that. In the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out, nobody on. Bottom of the 6th. Looks like the Tigers have a guy warming up in the bullpen. But I wasn't able to palm the basketball. My hands are wide, but my fingers are not very long. So I can't palm the basketball. I could actually dunk the basketball, but to dunk it with one hand, I didn't have as much control. And I had to use 2 hands to have total control, but you have to jump even higher to dunk with 2 hands. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Fouled off. 2-2. 96-mile-per-hour fastball on the outside edge. But I'm also only 6'2". So at 6'2", I felt like I needed a couple of other weapons in order to become really strong and have a chance to play professionally. And I decided I didn't feel like going through all of those injuries and workouts and all of that effort just to end my career in college. You know what I'm saying? So I decided not to go that route. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the toss. Bounced foul down the third baseline, or first baseline, rather. 50 people listening in right now. I thank you for being here. Make sure you like the live stream, if you don't mind. I do appreciate that in advance. Here's the toss. 95 on the outside. Fouled off. Failed off. He failed. Fouled off into the crowd. I just took a look outside a moment ago. It is twilight, or just past twilight now. Here's the toss. Ground ball to the second baseman. He scoops it up and fires it to first for out number 2. Valera is gone. Jose Ramirez comes to the plate with nobody on and 2 outs. The Guardians are down 2-1 here in the bottom of the 6th. Here comes the first pitch to Ramirez. That's outside. The splitter missing by several inches. 1 ball, no strikes. Here comes the next pitch. Low and inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Once again, they are pitching around him. They haven't really put much in the zone. Ramirez had to go down and get it to get a hit his last at bat. Here comes the 2-0. That's in there in the bottom of the zone. Nice splitter. 2-1. Finnegan on the mound. Here comes the pitch. Bounced foul down the first base line. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Jose Ramirez. Coco, I really enjoyed watching Woody Martin the other day. He really impressed me. Outside, the splitter missing wide. Full count. Crowd on their feet, hoping for Ramirez to do something here with 2 outs, full count, nobody on. He hits it hard out to left field, all the way back to the warning track, but it's going to be caught. Not quite enough. 1-2-3 inning for Finnegan. We're going to go into the top of the 7th with the Tigers up 2-1. Coco says for the Texans, their division rivals are the Titans, Jaguars, the Colts. They also have the Cowboys while they ain't in the Texans division, but when the Cowboys and the Texans play. Gotcha. Is the rivalry between the Texans and the Cowboys as big as the rivalry between the Rangers and the Astros? That's something that I've wondered about, but I haven't thought to look into. I was force fed the Cowboys growing up because even though I was an Oilers fan, my mom was also an Oilers fan. She was from Houston. My brother, however, was a Cowboys fan. If any of you are familiar with some of these psychological terms that we use to describe people and family members, you could say that my brother was the golden child. My sister was the spoiled brat, basically. And I was the scapegoat in the garbage pail. I was the second son, the extra, the guy that everybody in the family dumped on, without exception. My brother, my sister, my mom, and my dad, they all. I my mom, she gave everybody trouble because she had some issues. But the thing about her is that the way she treated me, she didn't have it in for me like my dad and my sister, my brother did. They literally treated me like garbage. But my mom, I wouldn't say that my mom treated me like garbage. She just she just had so many of her own personal problems that she couldn't even begin to take care of my needs. So it was a fun childhood. I'll leave it at that. It was fun. And I'm using that in a very sarcastic way. 0-1 pitch. Wow, that's hit hard to left field all the way out to the wall. And it's off the wall. They bring it in, but he's sliding in at second base with a double. Baez with a rip to left field. High fastball, and he just crushed it. A few feet below the line, not far from being a home run. Leadoff runner on second for Parker Meadows, who's at the plate showing bunt. He pulls back and takes the ball high for ball one. Cowboys and the Texans, they want to fight, basically. Big time, the Astros and Rangers, their fans say whoever wins the game when they play, they own Texas that year. Throw to first. On the ground ball, Parker Meadows beats the throw to first base. We have runners on first and third. What in the world happened there? Let's take a look at that replay. Sabrowski took too long to get that throw to first base, and he's safe. Little tapper on that bunt. Sabrowski went over and got it and took a nice leisurely throw to first base. And Meadows is safe, and they pull Meadows out of the game for a pinch runner, and they're going to go ahead and pull Sabrowski out of the game. Wow. Runners on the corners for the Tigers with no outs. Sabrowski's coming out of the game. Gleyber Torres at the plate. Kind of a boneheaded error there by Sabrowski. Getting that bunt and taking his time to set up and make a casual throw over to first base. But that's not a slow runner. That's not a slow runner that he was facing. Meadows can run. That's what happens when you don't go all out. It kind of reminds me of that run that they missed because the player got tagged out. The runner got tagged out at third, and the guy coming home didn't score. That run was taken away because he didn't cross the plate. And why didn't he cross the plate before the tag? Because he wasn't hustling. It's just crazy that you see these major league players getting paid millions of dollars to play professional baseball, and they're not even doing the fundamentals. Hunter Gaddis is on the mound for the Guardians. He inherited runners on first and third. There's a pinch runner on first. He's facing Gleyber Torres. Here's the first pitch. Swing and a miss on the slider. Low and away. Strike one. Coco says, wherever you are, everywhere you go in Houston, in my city, or even 55 minutes out of Houston, like Beaumont, Corpus Christi. Nothing but Texas fans, but if you go to Dallas, oh yeah. Here's the toss. 87 above the zone. Fouled off. 0-2. It's interesting because a long time ago, Coco, in Northwest Louisiana, I used to call it East Texas. A lot of people did. And most people there were Cowboys fans. But as soon as the Saints started winning and they got a chance to go to the Super Bowl, everybody jumped on the bandwagon. Suddenly, everybody was a Saints fan. Before that, they were the Aints, right? 1 ball, 2 strikes to Torres. And then suddenly everybody was wearing Saints gear all the time, and everybody there was a Saints fan. It was sickening how many bandwagon fans they got suddenly. That's in the dirt, 2-2 to Torres. Grand Prairie, Waco, Nacogdoches, Longview, Arlington, Fort Worth, Abilene, Tyler, San Angelo, Amarillo. Yep. All Cowboys fans. That's hit up the middle. Gaddis gets it right into his glove. What a catch by Gaddis. Holy freaking cow. Torres rockets it right back to the mound and right into the glove of Gaddis, who goes to first base for the out. Runners remain on second and third. They do not advance. Wow, what a catch. Look at this. Look at this catch by Gaddis. Third baseman was not on the bag, so he couldn't throw it over to third, but he was able to get the out at first. 1 down. Bases loaded. One out. Winfield Perez is at the plate. Swing and a miss. If you're wondering why the bases are loaded suddenly, it's because they walked Carpenter. After getting the out on Torres, they decide to walk Carpenter intentionally, and now bases are loaded with 1 out. 0-1 is the count. Here comes a pitch to Perez. That's hit hard into right field, and it's going to get down, score a couple of runs. Tigers are going to be up 4-1. 2-run single to right field. So walking Carpenter doesn't work out. for the Guardians. Got a little bit of an issue there with my live stream. I'm going to have to refresh it. Might be a satellite adjustment. The connection is really bad right now. I don't know what's going on. I can show you on my screen. It's just, there it is. It's back. Streaming quality right now on the video is not good. I'm not quite sure why. But they're having a little break on the mound right now, a meeting with the pitching coach, but now they're breaking it up. 4-1 Tigers in the top of the 7th, and they still have runners on the corners with just 1 out. Hunter Gaddis is going to be facing Spencer Torkelson. Gaddis on the mound. He's only thrown 7 pitches. Here's the first pitch to Torkelson. That's hit high in the air. Is it going to be playable? Nope. It goes out of play behind the plate. 0-1. Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Virginia states. The states love the Falcons. Really? Why is that? Why do they like the Falcons? I guess there's no other team close by. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Torkelson rips it into left field. That's going to score another run. Quan brings it in pretty quick. Torkelson gets on with a hit. Runner moves from first to third. The throw from left field goes over the head of the third baseman. So the runner is able to get to third base, no problem. Perez went from first to third. You can see where Quan rifled it, but he just threw it way over the head of the third baseman. So Perez was able to get to third base. They have runners still in the corners with 1 out. It's 5-1 Tigers. Hey, that's into right field, and that's another run. 6-1. Torkelson moves to second base. Riley Green with a single on the very first pitch. Gaddis getting lit up. Looks like the Tigers are deciding that they want to go on to the next series. Suddenly just blowing it up here in the 7th. 4 runs scored so far. They bring Riley Green out and bring in a pinch runner. Runners on first and second with 1 out. And they're having another meeting on the mound. Gaddis is going to be taken out. They're going to bring in a new pitcher. Oh, no. Green's not coming out. He's just taking a break while they change pitchers. Wow. 10 hits now for the Tigers. They finally break through and start scoring their base runners in the 7th inning. 6-1. Yeah, I think probably goodbye Guardians too, Coco. I think so. 10 hits. 4 runs this inning. Got a little break going on right now as they switch pitchers. That's crazy. Well, they didn't get the grand slam, but they got the 4 runs. No big deal. Do you like any of the college teams? The only college team that I really follow is LSU. And I loosely follow their baseball team because, you know, they always have a good baseball team, it seems. They always have a shot at the World Series. Football can be so hit or miss, but I do like to watch LSU football. But whenever they have years like this year where they're trying to hype it up like they're so good, and their defense really is good. Their defense is legit. But when they're supposed to basically own a team like Ole Miss, I just don't believe in the Tigers, the LSU Tigers offense. I think their offense is very mediocre. That Garrett Nussmeier is overrated. Now, there are some people saying that Nussmeier just doesn't produce enough, and those people are right. But the people who are like on what you call the Nuss bus, the Nussmeier bus, I never bought into him being a quarterback star. He's just the epitome of so-so. First pitch is a ball to Dylan Dingler. Matt Festa is now on the mound for the Guardians. Here's the toss. Low and outside, swing and a miss on the sweeper. 1-1 is the count. Runners on first and second for the Tigers with one away. Dingler at the plate. He does have a home run earlier, a solo shot. 6-1 is the score. Here's the toss. Low and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Coco says, love me some Houston Cougars and Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Red Raiders. Yep. Gotcha. Yeah, Texas A&M is a team that the LSU Tigers have to be concerned with, right? 2 balls and 2 strikes. One out. Runners on first and second. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the toss. Festa misses on the outside. Full count to Dingler. Here comes the next toss. Whoa, he hit him. Up and inside would have been a ball either way, but it winds up actually hitting Dingler. He seems to be okay as he heads to first base. The Guardians are going to challenge that. They think that it hit his bat. Let's take a look at the replay here. Yeah, that hit the end of his bat. No wonder he acted like no wonder he didn't get hurt. Yeah, that only got his bat. So the call on the field was hit by pitch, but he didn't show any pain at all. And I thought, if you get hit on the hand, even a little bit, the knuckle or the finger, that's going to hurt. I think they're going to easily overturn that one. They're reviewing it right now. Pretty sure that's a foul ball. Yep, it's overturned. Foul ball. Guardians retain their challenge, and Dingler will be back at the plate for another 3-2 pitch. Well, yeah, no, anybody who likes A&M is not going to like LSU. But, you know, whenever A&M and LSU play, it's always a fight. These are 2 teams you have to take seriously. A&M has to play their best. LSU has to play their best. It's always a good game. It's kind of one of those matchups that even if the other team is having a down year, you still got to take them seriously. Otherwise, you could lose. 85 outside, ball 4. So Dingler's going to be on first base anyway. Bases loaded with 1 out. Festa loses his first batter. Zach McKinstry comes to the plate. Bases loaded, 1 away here in the top of the 7th. For Gaddis. Forever alone. Here comes the first pitch to McKinstry. 93 right in there. Strike one. Hit him right in the dingler. Yeah. Earlier, he had the dinger, the dingler dinger. But that was a dinger off the bat. 91 up and out. Marduk, how's it going? Good to see you. Lobster count. Guardians have 4, sir. The Tigers have 14. It was looking pretty bad for the Tigers, but then they started scoring runs. 84 miles an hour. And that upper outer corner, strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Strike 3 on that outside edge. Festa gets a K, and that's out number 2. It gets a K, and now it's 2 away. Right on that outside edge. Yeah, Guardians fans looking kind of sad right now. Can't blame them. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Outside. Guardians fans can say, well, it was fun while it lasted. We were doing so bad, and we went on a tear, and then we fell on our faces. Fouled off on the sweeper. Javier Baez at the plate with the 0-2 count. Yeah, Guardians fans not looking too happy. They got a 5-run deficit right now and only a couple of innings to do something about it. Here's the toss. Bounced foul down the third baseline. Faith, you like the Guardians Muppet? Yeah, these are the mascots of the teams, the team mascots. That's hit high in the air to second base. Should be out number 3, and it is. Rocchio puts it away. Man, 4 runs given up in that inning. The announcer just correctly or incorrectly stated that the Tigers had 5 runs in the 7th, but if you're listening to their broadcast, that would be incorrect. It's 4 given up in the 7th. They gave up 1, or they got 1 rather, in the 6th, and they got 4 in the 7th. And it's a total of 6. They are up 6-1 going into the bottom of the 7th. The Guardians have a lot of work to do if they expect to get back in this game. They need 5 runs just to tie it up. Stranger things have happened, but we'll see. If this game does not go into extra innings, I'll be happy about that. The quicker the game ends, the better for me. It just means I can get some sleep. Kyle Manzardo is set to lead it off for the Guardians in the bottom of the 7th, followed by Chase DeLauder. Gabriel Arias, is in the hole. Coco says Texas Tech plays the Houston Cougars tomorrow. You're going to have to go with the Cougs. Yeah, I'd think so. South Carolina. Yeah, that's another one of those teams that even if they're doing poorly, anything can happen. Like I said, I'm not a believer in the Tigers' offense this year. Their defense is stellar. Look at this. All-time series wins. The Tigers and the Guardians are tied up. 1,167 each. And that includes all postseason games. So with this win, the Tigers would take the lead. Of course, whoever wins, even if the Guardians win, they'll take the lead in the series. Tyler Holton is on the mound for the Tigers. Here's the first pitch. Just above the zone. Kyle Manzardo at the plate. 1-0 is the count. Here's the toss. That's hit out into right field. Right fielder is there. Perez, he puts it away for out number 1. Yeah, Faith. Well, it is based on my idea. I did create the thumbnail. I didn't get that picture from somewhere online and use it. It's an original image. Essentially, what I do is I imagine the kind of image that I want, and I just describe it to the AI, and then it creates the image for me. So the images you see on my thumbnails are all original, and they do come from my mind, but they are created by the AI. So I just write a very descriptive, detailed paragraph of what I want the image to look like, and then the AI creates it for me. DeLauder has fouled off 2 straight pitches. It is 0-2 with 1 out, nobody on. His family's hoping that he does something here and helps the Guardians get back in the game. We'll see what the rookie can do. Here's the toss. Swing and a miss. He strikes out. He had his first ever MLB hit earlier. But right there, he strikes out, and that's out number 2. Nothing doing so far for the Guardians in response to the Tigers' 4 runs last inning. There's the toss. This is grounded up the middle. That'll be a base hit. Arias on with a single up the middle. Guardians have a runner on first with 2 outs. Bo Naylor due up next. I think it's interesting how when you're watching college football, you can have a team that seems to be doing really well and have a chance to go to the national championship. This is grounded to the shortstop. He throws it over to first base to get the out. And that is the 3rd out of the inning. Despite the single up the middle, the Guardians get nothing. End of 7. It's 6-1 Tigers. 2 more innings of ball, and this game will be in the books. But yeah, for those of us who watch college football, you understand that if your team has an opportunity to go to the playoffs, and they lose a game, it could all be over just like that. It depends on who you're playing and what time of year you're playing, who you're playing, etc. It just depends on a few factors. But it's funny how college football works that way, right? I understand why it's that way, because there are so many universities. It's not possible for them to have just the basic division and league playoff systems. They have to follow a different way of doing things. But it really does suck how sometimes you can be completely undefeated and it's towards the end of the season and you're just a couple of games away from making the playoff, and then you play a team and you have a bad day where you just struggle. Maybe you lose a couple of key players or something, and you play a team that's unranked and they beat you. Maybe they even beat you in overtime, right? You give it your best and you go into overtime and you have a few overtimes and they just get lucky and they wind up beating you, and then you're knocked out of the the top 10 or something. So you go from being in the top 3 to being knocked out of the top 10, and your playoff hopes are over just for losing one game. College football is crazy when it comes to stuff like that. If that happened in the NFL, it would be terrible, but it wouldn't matter because it's just one loss. That's all it is. In the NFL, it's just one loss. But in college football, it can be a total disaster. Isn't it funny? I've always found that that's the interesting slash frustrating thing about college football, because when the Tigers lost against Ole Miss last week, a lot of people were saying, well, the Tigers season is over. That's how college football works. You lose to a team like that you should handily beat, and everybody expects you to beat, but you don't. Then it's like, well, season's over. Wow, this hit hard into right field all the way out to almost to the track. Okay, so that was a lot more vertical than horizontal. So the park holds it, and that's out number 1 as Valera puts it away. 1 up and 1 down. Gleyber Torres comes to the plate. Nobody on, 1 out. Jacob Junis is on the mound for the Guardians. 89 low and away in the first pitch, and that's ball 1. Which AI do you use, free or pay to use? Good thumbnail. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you look through all of my thumbnails, you might enjoy just browsing through my thumbnails, because throughout the season, they've changed over time. Whenever I get different ideas, I just change my thumbnails. I'll have a theme that I go with. I decided to go with the mascots for the playoff theme. 81 on the inside, called a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Torres. But usually I use the ChatGPT DALL-E, but I have a paid account. But I need the paid account for ChatGPT because I use it for many different things. 2 balls and 2 strikes, grounded to the third base side, scooped up, fired over to first. That's 1 away, or I'm sorry, 2 away. Junis up to 7 pitches, 5 of those in the zone. Jose Ramirez with the second out. Kerry Carpenter comes to the plate. 1 for 1 today. Here's the toss. High and outside. Here's the pitch. Outside. 2-0. Now, you can use ChatGPT for free a little bit, but there's a limit per day on how much you can use it. That's a grounder to second base. Easily played to first. So the Tigers go down quietly, 1-2-3 in the 8th inning. So there's something. Six more outs for the Guardians to get back in this game. It's 6-1 at the end of 7.5. I think I'm going to pour myself some hot water. I'm going to do it Chinese style, hot water. For those of you who've never spent any time in China or never lived in China, there is a funny thing about the culture there. Whenever you're not feeling well, or if you have a cold, or you feel sick or whatever, Chinese will always say the same thing. Drink hot water. By the way, that is not a joke, and that's not a stereotype. I would say 99% of all Chinese will tell you that. If you mention to a Chinese person in China, if you say, I'm not feeling very well today. My stomach is bothering me. They'll say, drink hot water. If you say, I think I'm getting a cold, they'll say, drink hot water. If they look at you and say, are you okay? And you say, oh, yeah, I have a headache. I don't know what's bothering me, but my head hurts. Drink hot water. It's always hot water. I always wanted to shoot a video. Maybe one of these days I'll shoot it. I could still shoot it here in Japan. It doesn't really matter where I shoot it. But I think it'd be funny to shoot a video where it's basically hot water, the ancient Chinese miracle cure. But it escalates, right? Somebody is on a bicycle and they're riding across the street and a car hits them and they fall down on the pavement and they're bleeding and they're obviously probably killed or dying. They brought these signs to the stadium some way, somehow. They were expecting to be down. You never know. But I thought it'd be funny, a situation like that. They run over, oh my God, he just got hit by that car. Quick, get the hot water. And they just throw hot water on him. He wakes up. He's okay. Tommy Canely. Tommy Canely on the mound for the Tigers. Swing and a miss. CJ Kafus at the plate. This is the 8th inning. The bottom of the 8th. The Guardians are down almost to life support here at the end of the game. Here's the 0-1 toss. Swing and a miss. 88 miles an hour on the changeup. 0-2. That's right, Faith. 6 more outs. 10 hits for the Tigers, 4 for the Guardians. Difficult game so far offensively. And up until the 7th, they were doing okay defensively, but then their pitchers just couldn't get their act together in the 7th. The Tigers put up 4 runs on them. 1 ball and 2 strikes is the count right now. Here's the toss. It goes right up the middle, is gloved, and he fires over to first. Good play to get the out. Javier Baez makes the play. 1 down. Brian Rocchio comes to the plate. The crowd not feeling it so much. The Guardians players not feeling it so much. Here's the pitch. 88 miles an hour below the zone on that slider. Swing and a miss, strike 1 for Rocchio. I always just hit everything with H2O2. H2O2? Hydrogen peroxide? I think you mean H2O. 1 ball, 1 strike. H2O2 is hydrogen peroxide. You don't want to be drinking that. You could probably put a drop in your bottled water, but you can't drink it straight. That would definitely be a problem. Here's the pitch, low and inside. 2-1. The changeup missing. But yeah, the interesting thing is that in China, they think that drinking cold water is bad for you. They think that not only is hot water good for you, but the cold water is bad for you. So getting ice water is not common in China. This is ripped down the line. It's going to be through to right field. And it's a 1-out runner with Brian Rocchio getting the single through the hole on the right side. Stephen Kwan comes to the plate. Now, Kwan has just 1 hit in this entire series. He has done almost nothing against the Guardians. 0 for 3 today. First pitch from Conley. High and outside. Or Canely, rather. Here in Japan, if you go to a restaurant, you go to most of the restaurants, they will give you ice water. Very similar to the U.S. But in China, they're like, no, 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 I can't drink that. They always want hot water. That's ripped into right field. That's going to be in the corner. That might score a run. We'll see. He throws it while he's falling down. They do not wave him in. Juan is on with a double. I'm surprised they didn't send him from third base. I guess he's just not that fast. But the Guardians have runners on second and third with one out. Yeah, he pulled it in and just ripped it into right field. Good, solid hit by Quan. All the way out to the wall. Right fielder fell down while bringing it back in. I'm surprised they didn't send him from third base. I think he could have made it, especially with that weak throw. That's it for Canely. Will Vest looks like he's going to be the pitcher for the Tigers, and the Guardians are studying up to see what they're going to have to face. We got a short little break while the Tigers regroup. Runners on second and third with one out. George Valera will be up in just a moment right after the break. Coco says, I'm looking at high school teams. Lots of the varsity teams are ass. Oh, man. I remember when I would go to see some teams. A couple of friends of mine, sometimes when we were in high school, we would drive to some other cities and watch some of their high school teams that were not in our division, teams that we never played because we were in a private league and they were in a public league. And man, they were amazing. I was like, oh, I wish I could play with these guys. Because every single team, even the bad teams, were strong, and they recruited players. They actually recruited guys. So they had a lot of guys who were tall and big and strong. And I was like, man, I want to play with guys like that. I really enjoyed playing when I was in high school. Really enjoyed playing. But my team, they were sucky. And nobody on my team was big and tall. I was the biggest and tallest guy on my team. I'm 6'2". So we never had a center. Now, when I was a freshman, we had a center who was 6'5". And he was the tallest guy that I ever had on the team. But by the time I got to be a junior, I was the center my junior year. My brother is 1 inch shorter than me. And so they had him play point guard and I played center. But my senior year, my brother was gone. So I took over at guard. So I completely switched positions. And the coach told me, if you want to play ball in college, you can't be playing center, not at 6'2". And I was like, yeah, you're right. But the sucky thing is that in the league, we only had a couple of other guys that were taller than me, and I could actually outplay them and outjump them. But it wasn't as competitive as I wanted it to be. 1 ball, no strikes to Valera. Will Vest on the mound. Here comes the toss. Low and inside on that corner, just barely clips it. 1-1 is the count. The crowd boos a little bit. Christine. Hey, Christine. Good to see you. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Ooh, a half swing on the inside. 89-mile-per-hour slider. He got him. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Christine says, my mother always believed that just water was the cure for everything. She was never picky about temperature. Yeah, I would say that a lot of Westerners are like that. We don't really care about the temperature of the water. The whole idea is that you just drink water, right? We've never been picky about the temperature. 91 outside, check swing. He does not go. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We got runners on second and third. The Guardians with an excellent opportunity here to chip away at that lead. Everybody's got the praying hands going on. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Strike 3 on that outside edge. How can you stand there looking at these pitches right on the edge of the zone? How can you do that? That's 2 outs. Mr. Valera, that was a terrible at bat, sir. You got to swing the bat. Once again, I hate to say it, but this reminds me of watching the Astros. Stand there and take it when you need to. It's in the 8th inning. You've got to swing the freaking bat. Jose Ramirez at the plate with 2 outs and 2 on. 1 ball, no strikes. 283 batting average for the year, 863 OPS, and 30 home runs. Here's the toss. Low and inside, ball 2. Faith says it ain't over till it's over. That's true. It's absolutely true. You know, what's funny, Christine and Coco, whenever you visit Japan or America with your Chinese friends, you go to a restaurant, they bring you ice water, they'll freak out. 97 miles an hour outside, 3-0 to Ramirez. They continue to throw outside the zone to Ramirez. But it's so funny when they ask, can you bring me hot water? The restaurants and the cafes will often say, I'm sorry, we don't have that. And then they're looking around like, do we have to stay at this restaurant? Can we go somewhere else? 3 balls and 1 strike. Ramirez at the plate with a 3-1. He rips it down the line, and it's going to be played by the first baseman, and it bounces off the pitcher's glove. That's an error. Ramirez goes to second base, and they say he's safe at second base. Baez thinks he has the tag. That scores 2 runs. It's 6-3. The ground ball was handled by the first baseman, but when he threw it to Vest, it bounced off his glove and went into foul territory. Ramirez took off and went on to second base. They made the throw to second. Crazy. The pitcher throws it. Look at that, right off his glove. I think the first baseman just threw it too hard to Vest and he couldn't grab it. And then the throw to second base, they called him safe. Yeah, he's going to be out. That's going to be the 3rd out of the inning. He was definitely thrown out. I'm surprised they called him safe. He was clearly out. He was still 6 or 7 inches from the bag. Yep, they call him out. But did the Guardians get both runs? It's 6-3. Did both runs score? Yeah, I think Hinch comes out and he wants to know if that second run scores. I guess they'll take a look at it, but as it stands right now, it's 6-3. Pretty sure that he scored. Yep. I think the score is going to stand. Ramirez does drive in the 2 runs thanks to the error at first base. My gosh. But he's thrown out at second base trying to stretch it. Wow. 6 hits for the Guardians and 3 runs on the board. 10 hits for the Tigers and 6 runs on the board. We're going into the top of the 9th. It's a 3-run game right now, 6-3. So the Guardians get a couple of runs, but unfortunately, it gets shut down. Unfortunately for them, rather, not for me. Either way, it doesn't really matter who wins this game. But unfortunately for them, Ramirez gets thrown out at second base. So we're going to go down to the last inning. Jacob Junis likely still on the mound for the Guardians. Winfield Perez scheduled up at the plate. Let me take a look at the live stream numbers. 58 people watching at the moment, 37 likes. Need about 8 more likes. If you have not liked the live stream, I appreciate you doing so right now. Ah, that's why he got thrown out. He did not hustle to second base. He was just jogging. That's why he got thrown out. Once again, the lack of hustle costs him. How about that? Wow. 96 at the top of the zone, just above the zone, called a strike, actually. 1-1 is the count. Cade Smith is on the mound for the Guardians. 96 miles an hour on that upper outer corner, fouled off for strike 2. If you appreciate what I'm doing with the channel, I do accept donations. Speaking of donations, Winseal Perez gifts the Guardians with the first out with that swing and a miss. 1 down. Torkelson comes to the plate. Top of the 9th, 1 away, nobody on. Here's the first pitch to Torkelson. 97 at the top of the zone, strike 1. Cade Smith putting a lot of heat either at the top of the zone or right above it. Here comes the 0-1 toss in the dirt outside on the splitter, 1-1. I do appreciate any donations. Most of my income is partial disability as I deal with a health condition. This is hit high into left field. The shortstop goes out and puts it away. Arias catches it for out number 2. Top of the 9th. Pretty quiet so far for the Tigers and the Guardians. 2 up and 2 down. Here's the toss. This is a grounder by Riley Green, scooped by Jose Ramirez. He goes to first base for the out, and that's 3 up and 3 down. So the Guardians do their job on defense, minus the breakdown in the 7th inning. The Guardians have been pretty solid. They've got 3 runs on the board, which is not great. But if not for that 7th inning disaster, they would actually be winning the game. They're showing some highlights between the Padres and the Cubs right now. See if we got I know I got the live scoreboard. Kyle Tucker singles. Oh, that's interesting. Seiya Suzuki. By the way, Seiya Suzuki was playing for the Hiroshima Carp professional team here locally. Everybody here in Hiroshima knows Suzuki Seiya. Darvish is taken out of the game in the bottom of the 2nd. Wow. Really? 21 pitches and pulled from the game. That's shocking. 4-pitch walk. Or a walk, rather. Bases loaded walk. 2-0 in the bottom of the 2nd. Double play ball. Apparently it's 2-0 right now. Let's check it out on the scoreboard and see what the updated score is. 2-0 in the top of the 3rd. We are back at the Guardians Tigers game in Progressive Field. Kyle Manzardo comes to the plate. This is the last opportunity for the Guardians right now They're going to need at least 3 to extend it and 4 to win. Here's the pitch. 97 right in the middle of the plate. Will Vest still in the game for the Tigers. Strike 1 to Manzardo. He's over 2 today with a walk. Here's the toss. Low and outside. 1-1 is the count. Here's the pitch. 98 high. 2-1. If you can't donate, at least give me a thumbs up on the live stream. I would much appreciate that. Here's the toss. 97 right in there, fouled off, way up into the crowd, bounces off the upper deck. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the leadoff batter, Manzardo. Here's the pitch from Vest. That's a bouncer up the middle, scooped up by the shortstop, and he fires it over to first. Not a very good throw, but he got him. Baez with the first out of the inning. 1 up and 1 down. Guardians have a 3-run deficit with 2 outs remaining. $15 pitches now for Vest, 8 in the zone. Chase DeLauder at the plate, the rookie. 97-mile-per-hour pitch right in there, strike 1. Yeah, Gregory. They advance with a win right here. 90 outside, 1-1. Here's the pitch. This is a bouncer right up the middle. The pitcher grabs it, fires it to first, barely gets him in time. The rookie grounds out up the middle with a big chopper. That's out number 2. That's his family right over there. They're like, well, he didn't get it done, so we're going to have to kick him out of the family, I guess. Two outs. Nobody on. Bottom of the 9th. Guardians down 3 runs. It's 6-3. Daniel Schneemann is pinch hitting. Takes that pitch outside. Arias stays in the dugout. Schneemann pinch hitting. 1 ball, no strikes. Here's the pitch. Fouls it off. That's a 97 fastball right in the zone. Hey, Gregory, $5 super chat. Here you go, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. The only super chat of the day. Swing and a miss. 91 miles an hour below the zone. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The Guardians 1 strike away from being eliminated from the postseason. Looks like the Tigers got it in hand. Will Vest, the next pitch. It's grounded to the right side. That's going to be taken by the first baseman, and the Tigers move on. They win the game 6-3 with a big 7th inning that put them up and over. The Guardians are not able to hang on, and they lose it at home in this short series. It's always a tough series, but just like last year, it's sad. Last year they beat the Astros in 2 games. This year it takes 3 games, but they beat the Guardians. But they finally got past the problems. Yesterday they had about 29. They had 29 guys on base that they did not move around, and they lost the game. Today they wound up having 20 guys on base that they did not move around, but they did make use of the opportunities in the 7th inning, and they wound up winning this game 6-3. The ALDS is coming up. with the Mariners, the Seattle Mariners, and the Guardians. So the Detroit Tigers move on and the Guardians are out. Thank you, Gregory. You're awesome too, sir. I appreciate everyone being here today for this game. Later on, I'm going to be doing the Yankees game 2 hours from now, the Yankees and Red Sox game. Conley Early is pitching for the Red Sox. Cam Schlittler is on the mound for the Yankees. Yankees are heavily favored according to the ESPN matchup predictor, but we will see. This series is also tied up, so today is an elimination game. One team will go home, and the other team will move forward. Let's take a quick look at the scoring summary here, and then we'll look at the scoreboard right quick because the Cubs are playing the Padres right now, so we'll take a look at that game in just a moment. We'll go in and take an update of that. Let me actually bring it up on the screen right quick. I'll go ahead and get the game loaded so we can come back and take a look at it in just a moment. Bottom of the third, it looks like the Cubs are still up 2-0, or is it 3-0? 2-0. Come on, Padres, come back. Yeah, it looks like right now it's the bottom of the third with 2 outs. The Cubs are batting. Let's take a look at the scoring summary for this game. Top of the third, the Tigers got on the board first with a double to second. Meadows scored. In the bottom of the fourth, Ramirez singled to right, scoring Valera. It was 1-1. In the top of the sixth, Dingler hit a solo homer to center field, 401 feet, and that broke the tie. It was 2-1. But in the seventh inning is where the Tigers really blew it up. Perez singled to right, scoring 2 runs. Torkelson singled to left, scoring Carpenter. Green single to right, scoring Perez. They put up 4 runs in 1 inning, and it was 6-1 at the time. In the bottom of the 8th, the Guardians started to look like they were going to come back and score some runs. They did get 2. Rocchio scored on an error. Kwan scored on an error. Ramirez got called safe at first base because of the error, but he tried to stretch it out at second and got thrown out, and that ended the inning. At that time, it was 6-3, but they were not able to do anything else in the 9th inning, and then they wound up losing. Tigers move on 6-3, and they're going to face the Seattle Mariners. I'm not sure there's an actual time yet. Yeah, they actually don't have the schedule posted yet. Let me see here. Let me go up to the MLB schedule and see if it shows. Yeah, right here they don't have the time announced yet. It's to be determined. But this game is tomorrow at Seattle. I will be calling this game, so I will see you for game 1 tomorrow. So I hope you can join me for that. Gregory says, how do you send people videos on YouTube or get views of your videos? How do you send people videos? I don't send people my videos. I just send my videos to YouTube and people find them. How do you get views of my videos? Well, you have to be that's a difficult question to answer, but Gregory, when you first start posting YouTube videos, almost nobody will see your videos. Now, if you're consistent, if your content has a theme, a consistent theme, for example, if let's say that you just post dog videos, you post videos of dogs doing cute or funny things. That's all of your content on your YouTube channel. Then it's very easy for YouTube to figure out what kind of channel you are. And then they will test showing your videos. They do a test run, a very small sample size. They will show your videos, they'll recommend your videos to some people. And if those people click it, if there's a high click-through rate, they see it, they click it, that's good. But if they click it and immediately they think, nah, this sucks, and they click away, that's bad. But if they show it to people, a lot of people click, and a lot of people stick around and watch it, and maybe watch it again, or they watch all of it, all of the video. These are good things. So that's called stickiness. If your videos are sticky, people not only click on them, but they also watch all of the video, or maybe they even play it again. So like, for example, if it's a short form video, it will just play again, right? So if people watch a short video and they think it's really funny and they want to watch it again, this is even better because it tells YouTube that, hey, this person really liked the video, and so they'll show it to more people. And that's why I'm always asking people to make sure that they like my live stream. Because if people are liking your live stream, subscribing to your channel, they stick around and watch your videos for an extended period of time. An important factor is they see your video, it's recommended to them, and they think, oh, that looks like it might be something I want to watch, and they click on it, and then they start to watch your video and they realize, nah, it's not really for me, and then they click away. This is a negative thing for your channel. But it could also just be that YouTube is learning your channel and they're trying to find the right audience for your videos. That's why it's very important for you to be clear about your niche. You know, your what's the angle of your channel? So if you start a channel and you make a video about how to make a chocolate cake, how to make my grandma's chocolate cake. You know, my grandma taught me how to make a chocolate cake before she died, and I'm going to make it for you today. And so you show everybody the ingredients and how to put it together and how to bake the cake and how long and at what temperature, etc., whatever. Okay. So YouTube, if it takes that one video, it might think that your channel is about baking or cakes or something like that, but it doesn't have a lot of info to go on. So you need to post a lot of content consistently so that the YouTube algorithm can learn about your channel and figure out, number one, what is your channel about? What is the content about? What is the focus? What is the general theme? And then who does it need to show that to? Because if your channel is about getting food and trying food and eating food, that's different than preparing food. And a channel that's focused on just desserts is different from a channel that's focused just on cakes. So it can become very detailed, you know. But if I were to give you any advice at all about a YouTube channel, there's one thing that I know. Okay, so you can actually watch a lot of YouTubers, and some people have big YouTube channels, and their whole YouTube channel is about growing your YouTube channel. Their whole channel is about that. Their channel is not about baseball or basketball or football. It's just about growing your YouTube channel. And the problem with those channels is that you can get lost in their content, because as you're trying to figure out how to grow your channel has nothing to do with their channel. And what I mean is, if you have a channel about chocolate cakes, or not, maybe chocolate cakes is too specific, but if your channel is just about making birthday cakes and wedding cakes, so your whole channel focus is just making cakes. Well, when you go to a channel that's all about growing your channel, their channel niche has nothing to do with your channel niche. Their focus is growing your channel. Your focus is making cakes. You see, it's very different. So you might think, well, that channel can still benefit me. It can, but the problem is every single time those guys make a video, They're just doing the same thing over and over again, and they're trying to find different ways of doing it. They're trying to find different ways of getting people to watch their videos so they can learn how to grow their channels. But I feel like most of those channels are completely useless, especially the guys who post often. I think the channels that post more often as it relates to growing your channel, the more they post, the less valuable they are. And the reason is because just how much more information, how much more new, good information can they really give you? So, luckily for me, I have learned some important things from just running a YouTube channel. And this is not my only channel. I have other YouTube channels. But I've learned that the main thing that helps drive your success is to be clearly focused in your niche. So you have a particular focus on your channel and you do that focus and it's very clear. So when people look at your channel, people visit your channel, or they see your channel advertised, it's very clear what your channel is about. If your channel is supposedly, if you start off posting, let's say, 10 videos in a row about making different types of cakes, then the YouTube algorithm is going to start thinking, okay, so this channel is about making and trying different types of cakes, teaching people how to make cakes and how they can make different cakes, etc., etc. But if you then post a video about your trip to Europe and going to the Eiffel Tower in Paris and then going to see Big Ben in London and stuff like that, that has absolutely nothing to do with your channel. And you're going to start to confuse and bog down the algorithm, and it'll be difficult for you to get consistent traffic and subscribers. So that I can tell you 100% for sure is my recommendation to you, that you pick a niche that maybe either other people aren't really focused on, or that they're not doing in a way that you think is interesting. So if you can take it and do it in a certain way, then you can be successful, but you don't need to mix it up too much. You said my channel would be sports cards, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, WWE comics, and related stuff. Well, I would ask myself, you know, are those things, how closely related are those things? So if your channel is about comics and cards, then that's a double-edged sword, because you can appeal to a more broader, or a more broad, or appeal to a broader audience in comics and cards overall, but you're not going to appeal to one particular group. So, for example, people who collect sports cards only, and they don't have anything to do with Pokemon or Magic the Gathering, they don't have anything to do with comic books, they only collect sports cards, and maybe even they only collect baseball cards, they don't care about the other sports, then you're going to have a limited reach with those guys. And people that collect Pokemon cards, they're not going to be interested at all, maybe, in your sports cards or your comic books. You're talking about completely different audiences. So you have to think about those things whenever you choose the channel that you're going to do. If you go too general or too broad, then you risk alienating your audience members or your subscribers. If somebody subscribes to you because you do movie reviews, maybe for foreign films, right? I only review foreign movies. And people are very interested in that. Oh, this week he's reviewing an Italian film. That's interesting. Oh, next week he's reviewing a French film and then a Chinese film. Well, you're being consistent, because even though the films come from different countries, your whole point is to review and talk about foreign films. But if you start doing videos about something else, like you start posting videos about the soundtracks in different movies, well, some people will find that interesting, but it doesn't have anything to do with your core audience. And when you start posting that, not only do you risk alienating a lot of your viewers because they're not interested in just the music of the movies, but also it confuses YouTube a little bit because your content, even though it's related to movies, it's not really closely related enough for it to understand who you're targeting. You understand? So, but yeah, YouTube's algorithms are kind of two pronged. One is, what is your niche and who's it targeted at, right? The other thing is, how do people respond to it? Do they respond to it in a good way? Are they interested in it? Do they show good interest? You know, do they click on the thumbnails, and do they stay for a long time and watch a lot of the video, or most of it, or all of it? Do they interact with you? Do they subscribe? Do they like it? Et cetera, et cetera. So those are the two main aspects, right? What is your channel about? Is it consistent? Is it clear? Who does it appeal to? And then the other one is, how do those people respond to your videos? If you have both of those things, if the first is clear and obvious and steady and consistent, that's good. And then the second thing is, if people respond to it well, then you will get promoted more and more and more. So, but these are the basics. I kind of feel like anything beyond that is pretty much useless information for YouTubers. And by the way, I don't think I've mentioned this at all, but I have another channel that is related to my old house here in Japan and my life here in Japan. It has about 3,000 subscribers, and I haven't been doing many videos on there, mainly because I'm busy with this channel and I have my health issues. I really have to do a lot of work to produce those videos because I have to do the DIY and the cleaning in my house, and I have to record it. Then I have to edit the video and upload it and all that. It's a lot different than doing live streaming. Yes, I have to do a lot of preparation and scheduling and stuff on the computer. But the thing about that is, it isn't physically taxing in the same way as cleaning and repairing my house by myself. You know what I'm saying? So yes, I have to do a lot of work on the computer and to get up get everything going. And then I have to sit here for a few hours and do the live stream. But as it relates to, physical activity, it isn't physically demanding like the other. So that channel has kind of, just been flat. But I will say this, I was invited to a conference in Japan in a place called Aichi. And that's coming up in about 1 month in the beginning of November. I was invited to come there and give a presentation. And there's a small panel of YouTubers who have bought and they've been renovating these old houses in Japan. And that conference is all about these houses. In Japanese, you can call it a minka or a kominka. And it's just an old Japanese farmhouse. And that's what I live in right here, is an old Japanese farmhouse. And essentially, they have a meetup every year, a conference. And I was invited to speak at the conference. So I will give a presentation that's kind of a mixture of my experience living in Japan, renovating the house, any challenges and advice, suggestions that I have, plus putting it on YouTube and any thoughts that I have about that. So I'm going to be giving that presentation in about a month. Gregory says, I like playing bass guitar and singing. My form of practice is Facebook. Well, that's the thing. Some people have a lot of interests, but you really have to think about, why do you want to start a channel? Do you want to start a channel just for fun? Do you want to start a channel with the expectation to grow your channel? Or do you want to start a channel because you want to try to make sure it makes money? I mean, you want to turn it into a business? Or do you not care about the results? You just want to have a place to put your passions and your interests. Just share. And if you have 5 subscribers or 5,000 or 500,000, it doesn't matter to you. Um, you have to ask yourself what you hope to accomplish or what you'd like to accomplish, and then you make decisions based on that, I think. Because actually, if I could go back and change, I had no idea I would still be doing live streaming right now on the Astros games or any of these other games. And the reason for that is because, like I said many times before, over 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with this renal cancer, and my life has been a complete roller coaster. And some days I'm not sure that I'm going to make it through the night, and then some other days I feel okay. I might make it. It's completely different from one day to the next. And when I started this channel, it was just because I felt like the Astros didn't have any live play-by-play callers on YouTube. They were doing all their games, and I didn't understand why that was, because you have multiple other teams that have lots of live play-by-play callers. And despite winning a couple of World Series and having a good fan base, the Astros had none. There's one lady that does the play-by-play in Spanish, but she's not even independent. She is part of a channel that does many different games, and they have many different live streamers that work for the same channel. I'm just one guy. My channel is just me. And I started doing these last summer. So just a little over a year ago, I started doing this. And I didn't know where my health was going to go. I didn't know where my life was going to go. I didn't know where this channel was going to go. I had no idea. But now it's one of the main focuses of my life. I'm writing a novel in my free time, and that's very important to me. And I'm doing my best to improve my health, which if I don't have my health, I don't have anything. So doing my best to try to overcome a situation that my doctor believes is not overcomable. He thinks that I'm going to be gone soon. So he's no help. And my other focus is this channel. But yeah, you just have to prioritize and think about what you want. Pretty much for fun, I see. Okay. Gregory says, I posted something on my YouTube about praises for you and that you're like a mentor to me. Oh, really? I appreciate it. Is your YouTube connected to your username? I'll take a look at it if so, but I appreciate that. If you ever have any questions, feel free to ask. Maybe one day if people are interested, I can do a live stream and just talk about that. Talk about live streaming games and what I've learned and experienced on YouTube. If anybody's interested, they can take a listen. And obviously, it's not related to sports directly, but for anybody who's interested in doing something online, especially with sports or live streaming, then they could definitely benefit from it, I think. Yeah, I'm confident now. I've learned some things, not because I'm smart or because, I've studied hard or any nonsense like that. But the truth is that because I've been through the YouTube experience now for a while, there are some things that I've learned, right? It's kind of like if you're in a group of people and everybody keeps burning, they keep getting burnt by the fire, but you've been burnt by the fire many times and you know not to touch it. So whenever people come in, you can say, hey, listen, don't touch that because it will burn you. They can benefit from that. It doesn't have anything to do with you being smarter than them. It just means that you have experience and knowledge that they don't have. And you can share that. So I'm at a point now where there are several things that I've learned. I'd be more than happy to share. So if people are interested in that, we can have a discussion about it sometime. Gregory says, I'm not sure, but I tried to name my profile Astros fan for life. Ah, I see. Gotcha. Well, I will tell you this. If you're going to start a YouTube channel about something else, for example, cards and comic books, then you definitely don't need to use the name Astros Fan for Life. You should start a separate channel. And by the way, you can have multiple channels underneath your one Google account. So you don't need to create a completely new Google account. You can just create a new YouTube name and make your channel name related to what you do. Kobe says, how long have you been in Japan? For more than 5.5 years, close to 6. And before that, I lived in China for almost 7 years. Kobe says, you do a great job, man. Keep it up. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really do. Always happy to hear some good, positive feedback and compliments. The channel has come a long way. It has grown substantially in many ways, in many, many ways, and in several ways that I could not have guessed. And I'm much appreciative to everybody who came along for the ride, whether you're newer or older. Thanks for joining in and thanks for helping me out. I do appreciate you. My name is Greg's Sports Cards. Gotcha. Okay. Well, best of luck to you, Greg, on your ideas, whatever you do, whether it's the sports cards or anything else. Best of luck. I hope something that I've said helps you out. But that's pretty much it for today, I think. I'm going to try to get some rest. It's almost 7:30 a.m. I want to try to get a power nap before the next game. I've got the Red Sox-Yankees game coming up. That's another elimination game. That will be at 9 o'clock a.m. my time. That's an hour and a half from now. And I hope to see some of you there if you're interested in the game. I look forward to seeing you. Gotcha, Gregory. Yep. Whatever it is that you decide to do, make sure it's something that you really want to do. You enjoy it. You want to do it every day. You want to do it consistently and clearly. If your style is consistent and it resonates with people, it connects with people, and you provide some value, okay? That's another thing that I can say is that what value do you provide for the listener? And of course, if you can provide value and do it in an interesting way, then you will be sought after and your channel will definitely grow. So hopefully there's something useful for you. Thank you so much, Gregory, for that super chat. I appreciate it. Amen, brother. Amen to you as well. Best wishes with your channel. There you go. I'm going to get out of here, and that's it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the super chats, Gregory. You were the only one to send me the super chats today, so I greatly appreciate that. I will be back in just a little bit. Time to get a nap. Thank you all for being here. As always, I want to say go Stros, but this year, no Mo's. There's no Mo's. Go Stros this year. But I will see you in just a little bit for the Red Sox and Yankees game. The final today with the Tigers and the Guardians 6-3. The Tigers move on and will play the Seattle Mariners tomorrow. Until later, I'll see you then and rest well. Bye-bye.